In the 1970 to 1971 season, Manchester United, the team nicknamed Red Devils, was still living in the afterglow of the 1968 European Championship, but at the same time it was also facing the cracks of a generational transition. Under the guidance of legendary names and rising young talents, they demonstrated a fiery, free-spirited, attacking style of play, true to the artists of the field. Although they did not win a major title that season, this generation of players engraved in the hearts of fans, the image of a talented collective, a gathering place of the greatest personalities in the history of football. But the stage lights had to be turned off, and when the final whistle of their career sounded, each of them walked on separate paths of fate. Some became immortal icons. Some quietly sank into oblivion, and there were even heartbreaking tragedies. Let's turn the pages of the lives of the 13 names in that year's squad. Alex Stepney was a reliable goalkeeper in the 1970 to 1971 season at the age of 28. Stepney was at the peak of his career. He was not only a goalkeeper with excellent reflexes, but also a powerful commander of the defense. Stepney was famous for his ability to read situations and especially his commanding voice that echoed throughout the Old Trafford Stadium. In an attacking squad, Stepney's role became even more important when he often had to face dangerous counterattacks. Interestingly, Stepney was also one of the rare goalkeepers at that time who was trusted with the responsibility of taking penalties thanks to his ability to shoot the ball with great force, a testament to his versatility and strong mentality. After that season, Stepney continued to stick around and became a witness to the history of Man United's most ups and downs, including the team's relegation in 1974 and the subsequent rebuilding journey. He left Old Trafford in 1978 after becoming the club's all-time leading goalkeeper, 2 goals, and holding the record for appearances until it was later broken. Away from the pitch, Alex Stepney's life took on a rather interesting and simple color. He tried his hand at running a pub, then became a radio presenter, where he used his old, powerful voice to analyze football. The contrast between a fire-breathing person in goal and a calm, profound commentator on the radio is what fans love. Currently, at the age of 82, Alex Stepney is enjoying a peaceful life after retirement. He still regularly appears at club events as an ambassador recounting stories of glorious times, acting as a bridge between the glorious past and the present. A true firekeeper of the Red Devils' history. Jimmy Rimmer, then only 22, accepted the role of a quiet shadow on the touchline. In the 1970 to 1971 season, Rimmer played 20 games, a considerable number for a reserve goalkeeper, showing that his talent was not trivial. He possessed quick reflexes and incredible composure for his age. However, Stepney's shadow was too big, making Rimmer always yearn for a sky of his own to thrive where he was recognized as number 1 and not a substitute. That desire led Rimmer away from Old Trafford to Arsenal, and then to the pinnacle at Aston Villa. Rimmer's journey is a testament to perseverance. He touched the prestigious C1 Cup with Aston Villa in 1982, although ironically, he had to leave the field early in the final due to injury. His life was not noisy in the newspapers. After hanging up his gloves, Rimmer chose the path of becoming a goalkeeper coach, quietly passing on his experience to the next generation at clubs like Swansea or even working in China. His life is the image of a diligent worker, not interested in flashy fame, but focusing on practical value. Rimmer is the embodiment of silent heroes, those who believe that patience will be rewarded. Now at the age of 76, Jimmy Rimmer has completely retired from football, living a quiet life with his family, satisfied with the career he has built with sweat and patience. Tony Dunn was the left winger, a 29-year-old Irish defender. During that season, Dunn was the embodiment of tenacity and speed. He was described as a lungless man, tirelessly attacking and defending. with a hard-working, unpretentious, but extremely effective style of play. Dunn was a safe stopper for the attacking stars above to shine. He was the type of player who rarely received the biggest applause, but the one the coach always put his name first in the starting lineup. Dunn's stability was the morale support for the whole team in the most difficult times. Leaving Man United, Dunn continued to devote the last years of his career to Bolton Wanderers before moving to the US to play his post-retirement life. Was completely opposite to the excitement of football. Dunn chose to live a reclusive life, opening an indoor golf course in Altrincham, away from all media attention. He was a family man, modest and discreet, rarely mentioning the medals or titles he had won. The contrast between a fast, aggressive fullback on the field and a quiet man who loved the tranquility of golf in real life was an interesting stroke in his portrait. However, that quiet journey had to stop. On June 8, 2020, Tony Dunn passed away at the age of 78 after years of fighting illness. His departure left endless sorrow, reminding us of a silent legend who devoted his entire youth to the red shirt. David Sadler was the man who carried the center of the defense. 24 years old, emerged as the most versatile player. Although playing as a center back, Sadler had the mindset of a midfielder and the finishing ability of a striker. In the 7,771 season, he played 32 matches, acting as a transit station. From the back line, helping United quickly transition to attack. Sadler was not only a rock, but also an important tactical card ready to push forward to surprise the opponent. Sadler's intelligence and flexibility in playing represented the modern football thinking that was budding at that time. After leaving Old Trafford for Preston North End, Sadler's career gradually came to an end due to persistent injuries, the price of a fearless dedication. When the football lights went out, Sadler made a spectacular change. He did not pursue a coaching career like many of his teammates, but turned to business, becoming the director of a construction association and then an IT business. His life is a testament to his intelligence and great adaptability, from a versatile player on the field to a successful businessman in the marketplace. His composure and strategic thinking in football have translated perfectly into his real life. Now, at the age of 78, David Sadler is enjoying a fulfilling old age occasionally, appearing as secretary of the Manchester United Former Players Association, continuing to care for and connect with his former teammates. Francis Burns was a promising young face alongside the experienced seniors of the defense that year when he was only 22 years old. The Scottish boy had the blood of a warrior with a fierce playing style and was not afraid of collision. In 20 appearances that season, Burns showed remarkable maturity, becoming a reliable stopper. Although often facing fierce competition for positions, Burns' fiery fighting spirit always received respect from fans. He was the image of youth, of the desire to assert himself in a galaxy at Old Trafford. However, Burns' career at United did not last forever. A series of terrible meniscus injuries hampered his progress, forcing him to drift to Southampton and Preston North End. Away from top-level football, fate led Francis Burns to an unexpected turn. He emigrated to Australia and then returned to England, working in a factory. Burns' life after football was a downbeat reality, where he had to do manual labor to make a living, far from the glory of the past. But it was in that simplicity that people saw the mettle of a man who never surrendered to circumstances. No longer a football star, he became the pillar of his family, living the life of an ordinary but self-respecting worker. Today, at the age of 76, Francis Burns has retired, living a peaceful life away from the noise of the media, a peaceful end for a warrior who once burned himself out. Ian Ure is another piece of the defensive puzzle. The 31-year-old Scottish centre-back, coming to United with a wealth of experience from Arsenal, Ure brings the necessary maturity to a defence in transition. In the 7,071 season, although he only played 13 matches, Ure's presence still had a guiding effect on the younger players. He is famous for his tall physique and good aerial ability, although he is sometimes criticized for his slowness. Ian Ure is the type of player who plays with a cool head and experience, willing to be the background for his teammates to shine. Leaving Manchester United to return to Scotland to play for St Mirren, Ian Ure then chose a very unique post-career path completely separate from football. He became a social worker specializing in working with troubled youth and reformatories. This decision reflected a deep human soul hidden behind the rough exterior of a center-back. If, on the field, he stopped opponents from scoring, then off the field, he stopped young lives from sliding into vice. It was a beautiful transition from a defensive role on the field to a defensive role for society. Now, at the age of 84, Ian Ure lives a private life in his native Scotland, content with the quiet legacy he has created in the souls of the people he has helped, an achievement perhaps more meaningful than any trophy. Bobby Charlton, the soul, heart, and brain of the team. At 33, Charlton is still a talented conductor with tireless runs and a famous rocket long-range shot. With 42 appearances and 5 goals, he is not only a playmaker, but also a symbol of the never-give-up spirit after the Munich disaster. Charlton's dignified and fair-play style of play makes him a true gentleman on the pitch, a monument that all opponents must respect. After leaving United, Bobby Charlton tried his hand at coaching at Preston, but was not very successful because his natural talent was difficult to convey in words. He returned to Old Trafford not to play, but to become a member of the board of directors and global ambassador of the club for decades. The image of Sir Bobby with silver hair in the VIP stands has become a sacred part of the Theatre of Dreams. He lived an exemplary life, devoted himself to charity activities, and was a beacon of professional ethics for generations of young players. It seemed that greatness and noble character had come into his life in the most complete way. However, the law of creation spares no one. On October 21st, 2023, the football world was shocked and shed tears when Sir Bobby Charlton passed away at the age of 86 after a long battle with dementia. His passing is not only a loss for a family and a team, but also the end of the most glorious and humane era in football history. Willie Morgan was the man on the right wing, the 26-year-old Scottish midfielder with an artistic style of play. Morgan was the heir to the legendary number 7 shirt, although he sometimes wore a different number when best played, bringing with him a dribbling ability and precise crosses in the 7,701 season. He played 25 games and scored 3 goals, contributing endless creativity to the attacking front. With his long, romantic hair and trendy style, Morgan was likened to a soccer rock star representing the booming pop culture of the time. Morgan's career then went through many ups and downs with transfers to Burnley and Bolton. His personal life was as colorful as his playing style. Morgan was never afraid to express his opinions, even having public conflicts with the board or coach. After retiring, he became a regular media figure, doing business in the hotel industry and always maintaining a gallant and elegant demeanor. His liberal, somewhat rebellious nature on the pitch followed him into life, turning him into a man who enjoyed life in his own way without restraint. Currently, at the age of 80, Willie Morgan still retains his arrogant smile, regularly attends parties of former players and lives. Well, thanks to smart investments, a happy ending for the romantic man of the past. Pat Crerand was a 31-year-old central midfielder who played the role of sweeper and deep-lying playmaker. Crerand was not quick, but he had a keen tactical vision and the ability to deliver long passes with pinpoint accuracy. He was also known as George Best's bodyguard, always ready to rush into any collision to protect his talented junior from the opposition. Crerand's toughness and loyalty were an important glue in the United squad that year. After hanging up his boots in 1971, Crerand never left football. He tried his hand at coaching, but quickly found his true calling was behind the microphone. He became a renowned pundit, serving as the official voice of MUTV for decades. Creran's life was steeped in his love of Manchester United. He defended his team on television with the same fervor he once used to tackle on the pitch. His candor and humor made him a particularly popular figure. Today, at the age of 85, Pat Creran is still going strong, still following the Reds' every move and occasionally making incisive comments, proving that the Reds' blood has never stopped flowing in him. Nobby Stiles was another midfield warrior, a 28-year-old with an unmistakable appearance, short with missing teeth and severe myopia. But beneath that exterior lay a fierce tiger. The 70-71 season was his last at United. 17 games, but Stiles' fighting spirit remained intact. He terrorized opposing midfielders with his fierce tackling and tenacious tackling. Stiles didn't play with technique. He played with heart and extraordinary courage. Leaving United, Stiles wandered through Middlesbrough and Preston before moving into coaching, where he played a major role in training Sir Alex Ferguson's famous class of '92. However, his life after the halo was full of difficulties. He had to sell his precious medals, including the 1966 World Cup winning medal, to make ends meet and take care of his family. In his final years, Stiles had to fight cancer and dementia, the heartbreaking consequences of those headers. The image of a butcher on the pitch was completely opposite to a gentle old man who loved his family so much that he sacrificed all his glorious mementos. That tragic journey ended on October 30th, 2020, when Nobby Stiles passed away at the age of 78. He passed away, but his toothless smile, holding the golden cup high, remains the most beautiful image of selfless dedication. George Best was the brightest star, the genius of football. In 1970 to 1971, at the age of 24, Best was still a supernatural force, with 18 goals in 40 matches. He mesmerized the world with his magical dribbling, turning opposing defenders into clowns. Best not only kicked the ball, he danced with it. He was the fifth member of the Beatles, the first pop superstar of world football. Best's talent was a gift from God, but also a curse for his fate. Best's career then was a series of days sliding into alcohol and all-night parties. He left United when he was not yet 28, wandering through a series of clubs from America to Scotland, but never found the top. Best's personal life was a tragedy, thoroughly exploited by the media. Beauties, scandals, bankruptcy, and illness. He was the embodiment of the ultimate contradiction, an angel on the pitch and a weak, lonely man in real life. He tried to quit. Drugs, had a liver transplant, but the alcohol still did not let go. Finally, on November 25th, 2005, George Best breathed his last at the age of 59 due to multiple organ failure. His departure was a great shock, but also a liberation for a talented and ill-fated man. The saying, Maradona good, Pelé better. George Best will forever be his immortal legacy. Denis Law. The King of Old Trafford was the final member of the Holy Trinity that season at the age of 30. Law still retained his fearsome killer instinct with 15 goals in 28 matches. He was famous for his ability to choose positions, brave headers and cunning in the penalty area. Law played with the pride and arrogance of a king, always knowing how to shine when the team needed it most. His fiery fighting spirit was an inspiration for the whole team. As fate would have it, Law later moved to arch-rivals Manchester City and scored a historic back-heel goal against United in 1974, indirectly sending his former team to relegation. The moment he did not celebrate, his face, bowed in pain, became a symbol of tormented loyalty. After retiring, Denis Law returned to work for the media and lived a life of absolute respect. He overcame prostate cancer, and now at the age of 84, despite being diagnosed with mixed dementia, Denis Law remains optimistic. The statue of him, along with Best and Charlton outside Old Trafford, will forever be a witness to a golden age, and he still lives out his old days, surrounded by the love of his family and fans around the world. Brian Kidd was a promising young striker at the age of 21, having scored in the 1968 European Cup final on his 19th birthday. Kidd entered the 7071 season with great expectations and contributed 8 goals. He possessed the speed, technique, and agility of a modern striker. Although always living in the shadow of the attacking legends in the team, Kidd still knew how to leave his own mark with diligence and professionalism. After leaving United, Kidd had a successful playing career at Arsenal and Man City. However, his greatest legacy lies in his coaching career. He became Sir Alex Ferguson's right-hand man in the early stages of dominating the Premier League, contributing greatly to the training of the class of 1992. Fate pushed him to become an assistant for Manchester City, helping the team reach new heights. Brian Kidd is a rare person respected by both halves of Manchester. He is a bridge between generations, a dedicated teacher behind the halo of stars. Currently, at the age of 75, Brian Kidd is taking a break to treat health problems. But his legacy of youth training and football thinking still flows through the veins of contemporary English football. John Aston Jr., a true family name of Old Trafford. In the 7771 season at the age of 23, Aston carried an invisible but heavy pressure on his shoulders. The shadow of his great father, John Aston Sr., a legend of United in the 1940s. But Aston's son did not hide behind his father's shadow. With his blistering speed and industrious playing style on the left wing, he was the silent hero in the glorious night of Europe in 1968. By 1971, despite fierce competition for his position, Aston was still a strategic card, a devoted servant always ready to be the background for George Best to shine. He represented humility and loyalty, a classic beauty of English football. After leaving United in 1972, Aston's career passed through clubs such as Luton Town, Mansfield Town, and Blackburn Rovers before retiring. Away from the football lights, Aston chose a completely ordinary life, even somewhat strange compared to a star who had won the European Championship. He returned to Manchester and opened a pet shop. The image of a C1 champion standing behind the cashier advising on cat and dog food and taking care of each aquarium has become a beautiful anecdote about the popularization of old football stars. He did not live on the halo of the past, but found joy in the simplest things. Currently at the age of 77, John Aston Jr. is enjoying a peaceful old age. He rarely appears in the media, but every time he is mentioned, United fans still remember a tireless bird who proved that the son of a legend can also write his own legend. Carlo Sartori was the first foreign non-British player in Manchester United's modern history. Although born in Italy but raised in Manchester, Sartori brought with him an interesting mix of English workmanlike diligence and Mediterranean whimsy. During the 7771 season he played primarily as a super sub, a wild card brought onto the pitch to disrupt opposition defenses with his individual flair and quick, small stature. Sartori's post-football journey has been a journey back to his roots. After leaving United, he made a bold decision to return to Italy to play for Bologna, Lecce, and Rimini, fulfilling his dream of playing in his homeland. After hanging up his boots, his life took a more pragmatic turn. Instead of becoming a coach, Sartori returned to the family business of knitting and then worked in hotel management. His career has been a circle between England and Italy, between football and everyday life. Today, at 77, Carlo Sartori lives a happy life. Regularly invited to alumni gatherings, he is a living example of football's cultural exchange, a pioneer who paved the way for the wave of international players who would flock to Old Trafford decades later. Alan Gowling, an intellectual, strange phenomenon in the football world at that time. In the 7071 season, This 21-year-old boy was not only busy looking for goals on the field, but also busy doing homework. Gowling was one of the very few players who both played professionally in the highest division and studied for a Bachelor of Economics at the University of Manchester. On the field, Gowling played football with his head literally and figuratively. He was not too fast or too strong, but his ability to choose a position and read the game was extremely intelligent. He represented the model of an intellectual player, breaking the stereotype of players who only knew how to use physical strength. Gowling's career was quite successful at Newcastle United and Bolton Wanderers. Interestingly, the logical thinking of an economics graduate applied perfectly to his life after retirement. Instead of facing financial difficulties like many of his contemporaries, Gowling smoothly transitioned into the business world. He became the director of a large chemical company and a prestigious football commentator on BBC Radio Manchester with sharp, concise, and academic analysis. Currently, at the age of 75, Alan Gowling is still a familiar voice to listeners in the Manchester area. His life is the most solid answer to the balance between passion and career, between sports and knowledge. A shining example for young players about the importance of studying.